Will you even be able to afford being a gamer in 2026? Welcome back, everyone. Price increases have been insane. And so I am here, me, Amanda, to talk with you about some of these price increases, what's going on, and what it means for the future of gaming. Nintendo recently upped their game prices from $60 USD for new releases to $80 USD for new releases. So in Canada, this means our new game price is actually increasing from $80 Canadian, it was already at 80 for us, to $110 at launch. Mario Kart World, that's what it's priced at right now. So premium games, yikes. Now, not all is lost, not all hope is lost. It does seem that we're going to have some tiers. So while that is like the premium price, we do have new games like Donkey Kong that seem to be coming in a bit cheaper at $70 USD at launch, which is like a little bit more reasonable, or for us, not as reasonable, $100 Canadian. But you know, that is still very expensive in regards to what it could have been before this new pricing model was launched, where something like Donkey Kong you would think would be around like $50 USD. So from 50 to 70, still a lot more. Some regions also have reportedly seen that when it comes to these Nintendo prices, there is a difference between pricing for new games based on digital versus physical. People have reported in Europe that there is actually a difference and a $10 increase to those prices. In Canada, that's not the case, and I believe in US that's not the case, but I don't know where else in the world that might be happening. So you let me know if you're somewhere else what those prices are like for you. That's especially crazy too when you consider that with Nintendo, one of the things I was actually excited about when they announced this was that they were going to like have physical games still, and that would still be an option. And I was like, yay, physical games. Until I found out that what physical means to Nintendo is we give you a card and basically there is a minimal amount of data on the actual card, and what we're really giving you is a card that just allows you to get access to downloading the game so you can play the game. You probably can't even play without the card in there either, even though most of it's probably been downloaded. So it's basically just a key. It's like a glorified key with like a little bit of the game on it. It's pretty disappointing. However, CD Projekt Red did state that when it comes to the Nintendo Switch version of Cyberpunk, they're actually going to put as much of the game on the card as they possibly can because they want their copy to be as true of a physical version as you can get. Because probably of the size of the game, but also just because CD Projekt Red tends to be one of the real ones when it comes to actually caring about, you know, gamers, I think. Look, I know Cyberpunk released and it was janky, but I still don't really think that was the developers' fault. That was because they had pressure from investors and such. And now, this is just us talking about Nintendo, but we gotta talk about some other things, unfortunately. When the Nintendo price increases were revealed, and when the price of the Switch 2 even was announced, a lot of people were nervous about this because they were wondering how these prices were going to affect the gaming market at large, especially in regards to consoles. And honestly, with good reason, because let me tell you something, us gamers, we seen some shit. And speaking of that, PlayStation recently, of course, upped their PlayStation service subscription fee. And friends, when I'm talking about this stuff, I just want you to know there's a lot more coming our way. This is just the beginning of what I need to talk about. But let's talk about PS Plus first. So this subscription fee was recently increased in Canada, and a lot of people believe it's going to be increased in the US as well soon as a result of everyone kind of seeing increases to their prices. I don't think it's been increased in the US soon, but you know, if you like, I'm in Canada, so if you are in the US, let me know when it goes up, if it goes up, how much that was for you. But in terms of Canada, let me just give you an idea so you can get a sense for where we're headed. When it comes to PS prices in Canada, PlayStation actually raised their prices for the Essential plan from $95 Canadian per year to $110 Canadian per year. For the next tier of the plan, the Extras plan, it went up from 155 Canadian to 190 Canadian per year. And when it comes to the Premium plan, you get all those bells and whistles, it actually went up from 190 Canadian to 225 Canadian. Wow, per year. Although to be fair to these yearly pricing models, this does mean that Premium PS Plus is still cheaper if you get the yearly option in comparison to the monthly cost of Xbox Game Pass, the Ultimate Game Pass, that is, the one that comes with all their bells and whistles, which is you get it for PC and you get it for Xbox and you get access to everything, and there's cloud gaming and all that kind of stuff. And that is actually $23 a month Canadian. So it's still less than that, at least, which is great. That is only when we're considering yearly compared to monthly, which is still important to consider because Xbox doesn't actually have a yearly option for us, at least not in Canada, so you have to pay monthly for it. However, when you're comparing the monthly price of Ultimate Game Pass to the Premium PS Plus monthly is actually more. It's $25 a month, which is crazy. It's crazy. And that recently went up from $22 a month. Once again, all of these numbers right now are Canadian. Don't worry, we're gonna get back to some US numbers in a minute, but like I said, the prices haven't gone up yet right now in the US. So we gotta wait. And let's also remember, because we are talking about Canadian prices for a moment, you do also have to, in Canada, consider the taxes added onto that. And in Canada, we got some pretty high taxes. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We got high taxes because, you know, free healthcare, it ain't free. We do pay for it in some ways, and one of those ways is taxes. So what's crazy to think is that before the price hike to $17 Canadian for Ultimate Game Pass that we had in 2023, the Game Pass actually cost us $15 Canadian per month for Ultimate Game Pass, which means that we're almost at a $10 per month increase, with us being at $23 right now per month. We're almost at that $10 mark, which means we're almost at $120 more per year for you to have Game Pass. And that is only increases that have happened for the last 2 years that we've gotten there. That's insane. That's such a big increase. So back in 2023, when these Game Pass increases did happen as well, it's pretty crazy to think, but the PC Game Pass stayed the same. We actually didn't increase that one. It stayed at $10 USD. That's right, we're back to USD, everyone. Here we are, round of applause. And that's also crazy to think about now, because when that happened, what Xbox and Microsoft were saying was that they were saying, we want to keep that, we want to keep that the same. We don't want to have to increase that price. And I mean, really, you don't have to factor any hardware costs, at least, into that in terms of them making the console, because PC is all, it's its own thing, right? You have your own PC that you paid for or built yourself. So there's that element of it. But even with that in mind, in 2023, they said, we're going to try to keep that the same. It's already more. It's $12 USD now per month just for PC. So even that's gone up a little bit, but it's still gone up. So keep in mind that in 2023, the Xbox Game Pass price increase was the first one that we'd had since Game Pass first came into being in 2017. And now the increases honestly feel like they've become a bit of a staple, which is ultimately why I canceled my Game Pass. I was tired of these increases. I kept getting notifications and I was just tired of that, of having to pay more and more, from like every few months. It felt like they were upping it. I feel like it's become a yearly holiday actually with Microsoft and Xbox execs, where they just get together and say, should we do another increase for Game Pass? Yeah, let's do it. We deserve a bonus. And so they just up Game Pass again. And us Xbox gamers, we just cry into our Xbox controller and worry about how that even might affect us getting stick drift. It's just a sad reality. And that's not all. Let's talk about the hardware, because service fees have been going up, but the hardware also recently went up, and guys, it's pretty bad. So Xbox prices increased in the US so that the Series S 512 gigabyte with no disk drive, by the way, is now at $380 US, up from $300 US. And with the Series X, we also saw an increase, with the new price being at $600 US, which is a $100 increase from the previous price, which was $500 US. I'm sorry. So we're going up $100 on a console that is 5 years old. What? And it doesn't end there, friends, because we're also getting new prices for the games too. So for our new games, Xbox has said that they are going to be upping the price for those as well. See if you can guess the price. Say it with me. Why don't you? It's going to be, you guessed it, $80 US. I wonder where they got that idea from. That'll probably also just be for the standard edition, which means for me in Canada, I'm going to assume based on the Nintendo pricing model that the standard edition for us will also be in Canada $110 Canadian, which is crazy to me. That's like what I would normally pay for like all the early access DLC version of a game in Canada, $110, you know? So that's pretty upsetting. Granted, we don't know what games this will apply to, and you know, like I said, there could be like a tier, so it might be some stuff set that 80 USD and some stuff's a bit lower. So we'll probably get a better idea of which games. People are guessing which games, but we'll probably get an idea at the Xbox Games Showcase, which is going to be happening in June. I assume Fable is going to be one of those games, so rest in peace, my wallet. And also, we need to put this into perspective when it comes to the Xbox consoles, but also the PlayStation consoles. This is actually, I believe, the only console cycle where prices have gone up instead of down over time since the launch. Usually, people release a new console, and then, you know, the new console becomes kind of like not as fresh, not as new, not as exciting, so the prices will go down over time. Of course, we don't have a new generation out yet, so maybe once a new generation comes along, we'll get that, but I believe this is kind of unprecedented, although correct me if I'm wrong and this has happened in the past before and I'm just forgetting about that. But the PS5 also had their prices raised back in 2022 and also this year in 2025. And people are thinking, based on this recent news about Xbox increasing their prices, that it may even be happening again for PS5, which means we could see 2 price increases for PS5 in 2025. Now, why is this happening? Obviously, hardware is an element of this. Hardware has been going up and up and up because the cost of the components that they're using to make these consoles is going up. But I think we need to talk about the big elephant in the room, which is, of course, the tariffs. The tariffs are definitely being factored in to these price increases. It's going to affect the cost of moving stuff around, of manufacturing, but even if certain countries come to some better trade agreements, we figure that stuff out, the reality is, usually when prices go up, we don't see them come back down. Even when the external factors that have, you know, inflated those prices are resolved. The other thing is that it's not so much the tariffs themselves as it is the uncertainty in the market that we see surrounding them. Still though, even considering the tariffs, it's pretty crazy how much some of these prices have gone up. Analysts, when IG spoke to some of them, said that the dramatic increase that we're seeing actually in Xbox's prices is a strategic choice that they're making. They're doing a big increase all at once so that they don't have to do little ones to climb it up slowly, because if they do it that way, then the idea is that every time they increase it, it's going to make the news. So it's going to be bad press, and then we'll get over that, and then there'll be more bad press, and then we'll get over that, and there'll be more bad press. So rather than do that, they're kind of like ripping the band-aid off, and they are increasing the price dramatically so that they only have like one news cycle of us being upset and being irate, and then eventually we forget about it, we get over it, and we all move on. So my advice to you is don't move on. Don't forget about it. Remember this, because they're banking on us shutting up about it. And so I would say to you, if you're upset like I'm upset, if you're worried like I'm worried, don't shut up about it. Try to keep making some noise when you can. And of course, keep in mind buying power. When and where you can, use your money to show them that you don't like these changes that are being made. I mean, granted, I did call when we did the Nintendo showcase for the Switch that even with a price that was crazy, people were still going to be buying this thing. And of course, the Nintendo Switch 2, it did sell out. The pre-orders did sell out because gamers, that price wasn't going to stop us, I knew. But if we actually want to see change, we have to try to do something about it. And obviously, keep in mind, when I say these things, I'm not saying it's all on you. I hate when people say that stuff to people. It's not all on you. This is somebody else making this choice. But when and where you can, consider your buying power. Because obviously there's going to be some games you just really want, and you'd be willing to pay like anything for them. Like GTA 6 when it comes out. Who knows how much that's going to cost? People would probably pay $300 for that. Don't tell Rockstar I said that. Rockstar, if you're watching this, pretend I never said that. Don't charge us $300. But the reality is there are some games that you're just going to be willing to pay almost any cost, and it is what it is. The reality is that either way, I think there is going to be that kind of effect, whether it's by choice or not, because we only have so much money as people, and the cost of living is going up. I have bills to pay, I have rent to pay, I have groceries to buy, and all of that is going up. So if all of that is going up, that just leaves less money in my reserve to put towards entertainment. Even for someone like me, where part of that is my job. Buying games is part of my job because I play games on stream at twitch.tv/vampex13 or here on the live tab. You should check it out. I could be live right now. The reality is, we're only going to have so much money, and what'll happen is I think people will have to make those hard choices of, do I get this game or do I get this game? And even I will have to do that. Even I will have to figure out what games I want to prioritize, because I won't be able to afford to get them all. I can't afford to get them all now. Now, if you're wondering why the increase to game prices is also happening with the tariffs, because, obviously the tariffs aren't as much affecting like digital games, right? Like, it's really affecting the hardware costs more. It's to help offset the hardware costs. So that's why we're probably seeing game prices go up. That's what analysts think. And the good news is that I don't think PC gaming as a result will be as affected by this, at least not directly. I don't think that PC games are going to see an increase to their cost from like hardware costs driving them up, because that's not a thing, because we all pay for our own PCs. However, the fact that the market is setting a new expectation for consumers will probably still affect the prices in that way. So indirectly, it'll still be affected. And the other question that I'm sure some people have is, why is every other country being affected? Because the other thing is that the US increases to prices have been, in general, a bit slower throughout the history. And yet right now, a lot of what's happening is kind of because of the US in terms of the tariffs and stuff that we're seeing. Well, the reason for that is because gaming companies apparently want to maintain that market. The US is one of the largest gaming markets. So they're going to try to increase prices everywhere else to help them cover costs so they can keep it low so they don't lose the US gaming market. And what will this mean for future new releases? I think in general it's going to mean that we're going to see all prices of all things go up, especially if they're AAA. But I do have some silver linings for you. My silver linings are, one, I think that with gaming companies increasing their prices, it means that we will have room for competition. So if someone wanted to come in and lowball everyone, they would do great right now, because people don't have a ton of money and people do enjoy things that are well made and affordable. So if there was someone to show up on the scene, a new gaming competitor somehow all of a sudden appeared, I'm not saying that would be easy to do, but if it did happen, that would shake up the entire market, I think. And it would make people have to reconsider their pricing. It would make things competitive again. It's hard because we only have really like 3 major players here. We have Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. So if a 4th player entered the game, that would change it up. The other thing is that what I'm hoping is that these increases to game prices for premium and AAA games will just help to boost indie game sales. Because let's be honest, indie games are really cool, and a lot of them are really affordable. And you also are supporting smaller companies and smaller businesses, and in some cases, teams that are only one person. Balatro, I'm looking at you, which I think is pretty nifty. So I think that is something that could be good about this. And indie has been a booming market, I think, in general, as more people are getting frustrated with the prices and the treatment that they're seeing from bigger companies. So I'm hoping that will be a silver lining, and we'll just see indie grow, where games are still quite affordable. We have games like Expedition 33, Balatro, The Midnight Walk. We've got Repo. Lots of fun indie games for you to play that are all reasonably priced for what you're getting. And I know some people might say The Midnight Walk is kind of short, but that game is all claymation, which is pretty insane. So that's kind of all I have to say about this one. I wanted to at least leave it on a little bit of a high note, but let me know how you're feeling and what you're thinking down in the comments below. Are you worried about this? Are you hopeful? Do you think that this is going to change the market for the worse forever? Or is there a way we can come back from this? And, do you feel that this is going to change the way that you spend your money in gaming, or will it not? Is it going to make you have a smaller budget? Will your budget be the same? Are you going to have to increase the budgets? Let me know. Personally, I think for me, it is going to change the way that I buy a bit. But I think my budget will stay the same, but it just means I'll have less buying power, basically. Also, in Canada, it really sucks. Our dollar is weak over here. It's weak. Anyways, hopefully we will all make it through together and indie games will just thrive. That's really the best that I can hope for at this point. I'm not gonna lie, making this video made me a little bit depressed. So also, if you have a funny joke or just something kind to say to me or just someone else in the comments, please do that, because I read the comments and sometimes they really lift my spirits. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. And until then, friends, stay nerdy. Bye! Also, if you want to hear more gaming stuff, check this video out.